It's just got a whole load worse for Meghan Markle because her sister Samantha ain't going anywhere.
What if the perfect royal fairy tale wasn't so perfect after all?
People think her kids are fake. They think they're AI.
Insiders say Meghan Markle's carefully polished image is beginning to crack.
She delivered it like an actress delivered it. An opera responded going, wow.
At the center of the storm is none other than her half-sister, Samantha Markle.
In my opinion, she would still be a waitress if it wasn't for Dad.
For years, Samantha has been portrayed as the bitter outsider.
I do believe because there are no delivery certificates.
But sources suggest she's been holding on to receipts that could turn the entire narrative upside down.
Meghan Markle likely spent time with Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein before she even met Prince Harry.
We're talking about photographs, timelines, and family details that challenge the version of events the world thought it knew.
Listen, I brought Meghan Markle, whatever her name is, to my Deal or No Deal celebrity golf tournament.
And now, whispers from the courtroom suggest that these secrets are no longer just family gossip.
They want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know.
They're being laid out in a way that could shake Meghan's reputation across Hollywood, the media, and even within royal circles.
She was one of my Deal or No Deal girls that were, she was a caddy for all of my celebrities.
Harry, being a simple soul, has easily changed to suit Meghan's agenda.
But here's the shocking part. What Samantha has brought forward may not only expose contradictions in Meghan's story, but also trigger fallout, reaching the highest levels of power. From producers in Los Angeles to palace insiders in London.
It is interesting how she's exposing her as a yacht girl, someone who was paid off by rich men to go and hang out.
So buckle up, because what began as a sibling feud is spiraling into a saga of loyalty, betrayal, and explosive revelations that not even Meghan herself can fully control. And trust me, the most jaw-dropping twist is still to come.
I don't like to say it, but I gotta say it. I don't know of anybody that cold to do this.
For years, Samantha Markle has been cast as the shadowy figure in Meghan's glittering rise, a background character often described as bitter, jealous, or irrelevant. But insiders now claim that image was far too simple and far too convenient. Sources say Samantha, now in her early 60s and living with significant health challenges, has been quietly collecting details for years. Old family photographs, school memories, shared milestones, even correspondence that directly contradicts the picture Meghan has painted of her childhood. Insiders suggest this wasn't just idle resentment, it was a deliberate effort to safeguard the truth, knowing that at some point her half-sister's global fame would inevitably pull their family into the spotlight.
As if Meghan is now trying to turn your own daughter against you.
Right.
While Meghan's story played out on Oprah's stage and through Netflix's glossy productions, Samantha remained in the wings, reportedly feeling erased and vilified by narratives that painted Meghan as the isolated victim and herself as the opportunistic relative. But whispers from those close to the situation suggest Samantha was never content to stay silent forever. Instead, she waited patiently for the right moment to challenge the world's perception and step forward with what she believes is undeniable evidence. According to sources, that moment has now arrived.
I grew up as an only child, which everyone who grew up around me knows. I would have loved to have had siblings, so I'm so excited to be pregnant so that Archie has someone.
Insiders report that Samantha's persistence has pushed this family rift far beyond tabloids and talk shows, landing squarely before serious eyes now questioning whether Meghan's story was ever as polished as it seemed. For those watching from the sidelines, the transformation is startling. The woman once dismissed as background noise has become a central figure in a royal-adjacent drama that feels more like a Hollywood thriller than a family dispute. But the real storm doesn't begin with Samantha's determination to speak. It begins with the specific claims she's bringing forward. What she reveals next touches directly on Meghan's most famous interview, and it could change everything.
I mean, her father is recovering from a stroke, literally about a 3-hour drive. I mean, could you believe that? She doesn't have a father.
When Meghan sat down with Oprah in that headline-making interview, one line struck millions of viewers. She described herself as having grown up as an only child. It was emotional, powerful, and painted her as someone who faced the world without siblings or family support. But sources say that claim may have opened the door to one of her biggest controversies yet. Insiders close to Samantha insist Meghan's words brushed aside years of shared family moments that tell a different story. Photographs spanning birthdays, graduations, and everyday milestones reportedly show the sisters together well into adulthood. One image from 2008, often cited by insiders, places Meghan at Samantha's college graduation, long after Meghan suggested they had drifted apart. People familiar with the family recall Samantha driving Meghan to school, helping with homework, and even tagging along on shopping trips. These details don't align with the image of isolation Meghan presented on television, and critics argue the contradiction has weakened her credibility. Defenders claim Meghan may have been speaking about feeling emotionally like an only child, but the optics remain damaging. The contrast is stark. Meghan's tearful words about loneliness versus receipts suggesting regular family ties with Samantha. Insiders say this moment was the breaking point. The interview wasn't just a story, it was history being written in real time, and Samantha feared her role in Meghan's life was being erased. That frustration, sources suggest, hardened into determination, fueling her decision to bring forward evidence she believes the world can't ignore.
You were paying multi-million-dollar PR firms to tell your story the way you controlled it, the way you wanted it told, while you also disparaged and silenced others.
After hearing Meghan's claim about being an only child, do you believe it was a slip of words or a deliberate choice? What began as a messy family feud quickly escalated into something far darker. Insiders say Samantha Markle became the unexpected target of a storm she never saw coming. Following Meghan's blockbuster interviews, sources report that Samantha was bombarded with disturbing messages from what many describe as Meghan's most aggressive online supporters. These weren't the typical critical comments that come with public attention. Insiders claim the threats were violent, graphic, and frighteningly specific. According to sources, there were mentions of acid attacks, threats that forced Samantha to move homes, and coordinated harassment campaigns seemingly designed to break her down emotionally and socially.
Someday Meghan's going to realize that she's obviously missing out on a really good, tight...
Court documents reportedly referenced attempts to tamper with Samantha's public records, portraying her as abusive or cruel in what observers described as a calculated effort to destroy her reputation. Behind the headlines, insiders reveal she was left shaken, struggling to understand how defending her side of the story could trigger such dangerous fallout. What alarmed many close to the situation was not just the intensity of the harassment, but the organization behind it. Sources claimed this wasn't the work of random trolls, but coordinated groups working in unison, amplifying hashtags and spreading doctored images in what felt like a full-scale campaign. For Samantha, who was already facing serious health challenges, this wave of online hostility turned a personal dispute into a battle for safety. Yet instead of silencing her, insiders say the threats fueled her determination to speak louder, recasting herself not as the villain in Meghan's tale, but as a survivor of targeted intimidation.
When you're pregnant, there's not a pillow under your skirt, and there's live footage of her walking towards camera with her abdomen swaying left to right in a black and white checker.
Just as the harassment reached its peak, a new chapter unfolded when Meghan and Harry signed their massive Netflix deal. An event that catapulted the feud onto an even bigger stage, with Samantha caught directly in the spotlight. Marketed as a chance for the couple to finally tell their story on their own terms, the multi-million-dollar deal did more than amplify Meghan's voice. Insiders say it also dragged Samantha into the global spotlight. Sources highlight a particularly explosive moment when Christopher Boozy, a tech entrepreneur and outspoken Meghan supporter, labeled Samantha part of a so-called hate group. The portrayal painted her as a dangerous online agitator, a striking contrast to the reality of a 60-year-old woman living with significant health challenges. Critics argue the optics backfired. Instead of reinforcing Meghan as the victim of harassment, the scenes left viewers questioning why such a vulnerable figure was cast as a genuine threat. Insiders suggest Samantha viewed the documentary as the final straw.
I think she's taking advantage of a very weakened man and getting him to say things that you just shouldn't be saying on television.
Just as the harassment reached its peak, a new chapter unfolded when Meghan and Harry signed their massive Netflix deal, an event that catapulted the feud onto an even bigger stage, with Samantha caught directly in the spotlight. Marketed as a chance for the couple to finally tell their story on their own terms, the multi-million-dollar deal did more than amplify Meghan's voice. Insiders say it also dragged Samantha into the global spotlight. Sources highlight a particularly explosive moment when Christopher Boozy, a tech entrepreneur and outspoken Meghan supporter, labeled Samantha part of a so-called hate group. The portrayal painted her as a dangerous online agitator, a striking contrast to the reality of a 60-year-old woman living with significant health challenges. Critics argue the optics backfired. Instead of reinforcing Meghan as the victim of harassment, the scenes left viewers questioning why such a vulnerable figure was cast as a genuine threat. Insiders suggest Samantha viewed the documentary as the final straw.
So all of the pictures, my point is, out there were inconsistent with the idea of a real pregnancy.
Sources claim Thomas has been openly critical of his daughter's media image, calling it fake and inauthentic, words that shocked even longtime royal watchers. According to those close to him, he has repeatedly emphasized that Meghan's portrayal of a lonely, struggling childhood doesn't align with the lifestyle he provided. Insiders point out that Thomas cited details like frequent family dinners at upscale restaurants such as Musso and Frank, describing outings that challenge Meghan's claims of eating alone or living off TV dinners. Observers note that this contradiction strikes at the heart of Meghan's brand, which often leans heavily on hardship and resilience. Critics argue that if Thomas's version is accurate, it suggests her public image has been strategically curated rather than authentically lived. Supporters counter that Meghan's emotional truth may still hold weight, but the clash of perspectives has undeniably deepened the public's fascination with her family divide. For Samantha, insiders suggest Thomas's words validated her long-standing claims, reinforcing her belief that Meghan's narrative has erased or distorted key family members. And for viewers, the involvement of their father transformed what had once been framed as a sibling rivalry into a multi-generational rift with no easy resolution. Yet, as explosive as Thomas's comments were, they were soon overshadowed by an even more controversial subject, one that has followed Meghan since the day her pregnancies first became headline news. Out of everything revealed, Samantha's claims, Thomas Markle's comments, or the Hollywood whispers, which shocked you the most?
I don't think anybody at Netflix could have seen the show before it went out, because it's not entertainment, it's not edifying in any way. It's really, really bizarre.
Among all the controversies that have swirled around Meghan Markle, few have been as persistent or as explosive as the whispers surrounding her pregnancies. Insiders say speculation reignited after a resurfaced hospital video in which Meghan was seen dancing and moving in ways that fueled renewed scrutiny. Sources claim online commentators pointed out details they considered unusual, the bump appearing too high, too firm, or shifting in ways that didn't seem natural. While most dismiss these theories as conspiracy-driven nonsense, observers note that the optics alone have been damaging, keeping Meghan's name tied to rumors long after the original moment passed. Palace insiders were reportedly unsettled by how the footage was received, with one source privately describing the display as classless and tragic. For Meghan, the persistence of this theory underscores the unique scrutiny she faces, where every gesture becomes fodder for public debate. For her critics, however, insiders suggest the conspiracy served as symbolic confirmation of a larger theme, that Meghan carefully curates her image, sometimes to extremes that invite skepticism. Whether the rumors hold any truth or not, the controversy added yet another layer to Samantha's ongoing narrative, reinforcing claims that Meghan's public persona often veers far from reality. And just as the conspiracy chatter dominated online spaces, another narrative was beginning to build across the Atlantic.
The world with him, and I did really enjoy working with him. But now I really don't care if I ever see him again, because the way he's behaved towards the king and our queen and his brother and his sister-in-law is appalling.
Among all the controversies that have swirled around Meghan Markle, few have been as persistent or as explosive as the whispers surrounding her pregnancies. Insiders say speculation reignited after a resurfaced hospital video in which Meghan was seen dancing and moving in ways that fueled renewed scrutiny. Sources claim online commentators pointed out details they considered unusual, the bump appearing too high, too firm, or shifting in ways that didn't seem natural. While most dismiss these theories as conspiracy-driven nonsense, observers note that the optics alone have been damaging, keeping Meghan's name tied to rumors long after the original moment passed. Palace insiders were reportedly unsettled by how the footage was received, with one source privately describing the display as classless and tragic. For Meghan, the persistence of this theory underscores the unique scrutiny she faces, where every gesture becomes fodder for public debate. For her critics, however, insiders suggest the conspiracy served as symbolic confirmation of a larger theme, that Meghan carefully curates her image, sometimes to extremes that invite skepticism. Whether the rumors hold any truth or not, the controversy added yet another layer to Samantha's ongoing narrative, reinforcing claims that Meghan's public persona often veers far from reality. And just as the conspiracy chatter dominated online spaces, another narrative was beginning to build across the Atlantic.
The palace and the machinery of the monarchy needs to take Harry and Meghan more seriously and make sure that Harry and Meghan's antics don't impact the future of the crown.
Do you think the Netflix documentary helped or hurt Meghan's image in the long run? Behind palace walls, insiders say her ongoing drama is being watched with a mix of fascination and quiet satisfaction. For years, royal aides reportedly warned that her approach to media and family relationships could backfire. And now, sources claim those predictions are playing out in real time. According to reports, senior members of the royal family remain deeply reluctant to reconcile, fearing that any private interaction could be spun into the next headline or documentary moment. Observers note that this mistrust has deepened Meghan's isolation, leaving her increasingly dependent on Hollywood connections that now seem to be wavering. For Samantha, insiders suggest this feels like vindication. Her persistence is no longer dismissed as bitterness, but acknowledged as a direct challenge to Meghan's carefully managed image. For palace watchers, the dynamic feels almost Shakespearean. A carefully constructed narrative beginning to crumble under the weight of receipts, contradictions, and family voices refusing to stay silent. Whether Meghan rebuilds her brand or faces continued decline, one thing is clear. The family drama she tried to control has spiraled into a global spectacle far bigger than she ever imagined. And as shocking as these revelations are, the story is far from over. If you thought this breakdown was wild, wait until you see what we uncovered next. It connects directly to everything you've just heard and makes the picture even more explosive. So don't miss it. You're watching Star Spotlight, where the truth behind the headlines always shines brighter.